What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing really well. This is a doozy. This is going to be the big one. We're going to do a tier list for all of the healers and their tier set bonuses based on the power level, and I'm going to rank them all based on the strongest Mythic Plus healers that I see moving into Season 3. Okay, there's a ton of great healers on this list, so I wouldn't be too concerned if you don't see yours in like the S tier category, because a lot of these healers actually deserve to be, I think, where I'm placing them, and they all are performing quite well. A lot of them, actually all of them, can handle content up to like a plus 12, plus 13, even plus 14 key level, which I have tried already on the PTR, and they're all looking really good. So we're going to jump in and we're going to rank each and every healer based on some criteria that I've got here. Again, this is about performance. This is about performance. It's about how strong are these healers in the Mythic Plus environment? How easy is it to kind of just get their healing going? How easy is it to just top people off? Does it feel stressful? Does it feel difficult? Am I able to like do some extra damage or use my utility because my healing is so powerful it's pumping? That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. And keep in mind, we're about 5 or 6 weeks away from the season actually going live. So there's a very good chance that a lot of this is going to change a little bit as the tuning comes in. But I just want to give you guys an early feedback on where each of the healers is at, okay?
Yo, guys, the gnome would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. All right, thanks, bye.
So we're going to start with Disc Priest. We are going to throw Disc Priest into the A+ category, okay? Oracle Disc is doing quite well. I will say my only gripes about it is that if you kind of mess up your premonition windows at all, then you're in a lot of trouble. The new tier set bonus coming in gives us premonition of insight basically all the time, which is really, really cool. So whenever we're pressing any of the premonitions, we're also going to be getting premonition of insight, at least 2 stacks of it, which is the cooldown reduction one, which means you can pull off really amazing combos like Penance into a shield, which has got the Wheel and Woe buff, and you're going to be getting a max HP shield, and you can do that multiple times in a row. Penance, Power Word Shield, Penance, Power Word Shield, and you can get these massive shields going on everybody. So those combos are really cool. You can pop your Shadow Fiend or Mindbender and use your Mind Blast and get into that sort of dark side of the tree, and you can just go Penance, 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 Penance for some really awesome healing as well. So the combos are good. The setup that's required can be a little bit frustrating if you don't do it correctly, or if you're caught off guard by a mechanic, and you can end up messing it up. And in my opinion, you can end up kind of mismanaging those premonitions, and you're losing all of the power that really is inside of this healer. So for that reason, I'm putting it in the A+ category. I think it's good. The damage isn't as good as the other disc tree either, which isn't the greatest consideration. I understand. I just want to mention it for healers, because if you travel into the higher Mythic Plus, you do need to do a little bit of damage. But Oracle going in the A+ category for now. Let's look at Voidweaver Disc Priest. This is going into the S tier category. This is a great looking healer. If you're concerned that Disc Priest is going to be dominating Season 3, kind of like it did in Season 2, I wouldn't worry too much about it. There's other healers that are going to go into the S tier category. Believe me, there are better healers than Voidweaver Disc Priest, but this hero tree is incredibly easy to use still. It's got that same 30-second or 24-second, Mind Blast plus Mindbender burst combo. You get your little void circle going out and it explodes and does a whole bunch of extra healing. The tier set is really like simple and boring, which I don't really like it, but it's still powerful. And you still have an incredibly powerful like 30-second window, which is so good in Mythic Plus. That's the best thing to have. Low cooldowns that have a huge impact is what you need to survive in Mythic Plus, and the damage is really high as well. So it still brings all the priest utility just like the Oracle tree does, but I just think it pumps harder than Oracle Disc Priest does, and it deserves to be in that S tier category. I do think we're going to see Voidweaver Disc probably in the meta or close to being in the meta, similar to how it was. I mean, Oracle Disc Priest is what's happening right now in the meta, but I feel like Voidweaver is going to make a return in Season 3, so I'm putting it in the S tier category for now. Okay, let's move on to Resto Druid. We're going to start with Keeper of the Grove, and I am putting Keeper of the Grove ahead of Voidweaver Disc Priest. This is looking really juicy, guys. I had so much fun testing out Keeper of the Grove Resto Druid. I think it was just the most fun time that I had on a healer in a long time. even on the live servers or in the PTR testing, you get this Dryad that basically acts like a Cloudburst totem. So you can manipulate when you get the Dryad by having a 1-minute convoke if you want it instead of a 2-minute. You can proc with reforestation, you can proc your Tree of Life, which also triggers the Dryad. So there's multiple ways to summon the Dryad. The Dryad does a huge Tranquility. Tranquility is an amazing spell now, just baseline, but the Tranquility the Dryad does is fantastic. And she does a regrowth, and then she stores a bunch of healing that you're doing, and then your next couple of Swiftmends are just going to do massive amounts of burst healing on top of what they already do. It's kind of like a Cloudburst totem. So what's so cool about this is that the performance is really high, okay? The actual healing throughput is incredibly strong. And on top of that, it's fun to manipulate. When are you going to use Convoke? When are you going to proc your Reforestation to get Tree of Life? You can time those things perfectly so that the Dryad pops out exactly when you need her to pop out, and you can really utilize the healing that she's doing. I think there's a skill ceiling on this one that is a little bit higher, but if you execute it correctly, you're rewarded so well for this. So in all my testing, Keeper of the Grove Resto Druid is amazing, fun to play, and performed really, really well. And it has all the utility that Druid brings as well, including like Mark of the Wild, which is amazing. So it definitely deserves to go in the S tier, and that's where it's going for now. Let's move on to Wildstalker Resto Druid. We're going to move this right up here. This also goes in the S tier category. This actually just got nerfed slightly on the PTR. It's nothing to panic about. They nerfed it appropriately, in my opinion. I think it was really overperforming in the raid environment, but basically Wildstalker Resto Druid, you get blooms spawning more often. Your regular blooms that are going out, they're going to happen more often, and the blooms now have a chance to detonate for 80% of the healing, I believe is what the nerf came in as. So you're getting free detonations of the blooms without having to trigger them manually with your rejuve. Normally you'd have to like rejuve somebody and it would burst. You just get the bursts for free now. And it's like, you can literally put your Efflow on the ground. You'll see blooms start popping up and they'll start exploding everywhere. It's the craziest thing ever. And on top of that, you're going to layer all your other hots on top of that as well. But just putting Efflow on the ground is almost enough to passively heal everybody, and you can just sit back in your lawn chair and crack a cold one. I'm telling you, it's very, very powerful. And they didn't nerf it so badly that it's into the ground. I think it still deserves to go into the S tier category. And it of course has all the extra Resto Druid utility as you always have. But just the passive healing that goes on, it's so easy, it's so chill. I was the most relaxed I'd ever been on a healer, healing plus 12 keys to plus 14 keys on the PTR with Wildstalker Resto Druid, so it's absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's move on. We're going to hit Paladin now. We've got Lightsmith Holy Paladin. This is going to go in the A+ category. It's going to go behind Oracle Disc Priest, but it's still going to go here. Lightsmith Holy Pally, Holy Paladin has undergone a massive change where your Beacon of Light, the transfer of healing into Beacon, only happens from direct healing spells now. So you can no longer put Beacon of Virtue on your team and then just have passive healing from like the Lightsmith Hammer and Anvil procs or Judgment from AC Wings, where Judgment and Crusader Strike are doing healing. That does not go into Beacon anymore. So there's a huge mentality shift in terms of how you're playing Paladin, period, but especially for Lightsmith, because Lightsmith is the one tree where you used Avenging Crusader wings, the 1-minute wings. And the other, the Herald tree, you don't use 2-minute wings. So this is the one where it really matters. It's not the end of the world where it doesn't transfer into Beacon anymore. It's actually fine. It's just that mentally you have to think differently about how you're playing. You have these windows of opportunity now where it's like, let's say I'm using Beacon of Virtue. I press Beacon of Virtue on my whole team, and then I'm using Divine Toll. I'm using Holy Prism. I'm Holy Shocking. I'm Word of Glorying, that kind of thing. And then I'm switching into AC Wings. I'm not even worrying about those other spells. I'm just maximizing my uptime on Judgment and Crusader Strike so that I can do as much healing as possible because it doesn't transfer into Beacon anyway. So a big change of pace, which is why I think it's going in the A+ category, but the performance of it is great. It's performing well. It's strong. It's just that you're going to have to change the way you're used to playing it. And I think it has gone down a little bit compared to these other healers. Excuse me. In terms of ease of use, it requires a little bit more thought. It doesn't punch quite as hard as these other healers do in the S tier category, so it goes in the A+ category. Let's move on to Herald of the Sun Holy Paladin. This is also going to go into the A+ category because it is also very, very strong. It's actually going to go ahead of Lightsmith. So Herald of the Sun, the tier set bonus basically says You're getting extra power on your Dawn Lights and your Holy Power spenders, and then you're getting an extra long extension of the beams. So I had beams at one point, I think, that lasted for like 25 to 30 seconds from the moment that I procced them to when they actually faded out, which is a ridiculous amount of time for those beams to be out and hitting people and giving you extra healing that's going on. Again, none of that healing goes into Beacon either because it's not direct healing, but it doesn't matter. It's insanely strong. I think in the raid environment, this is going to be a really good one. I actually think Lightsmith is good in the raid too. But in Mythic Plus, the damage you're going to get and the healing you're going to get is going to be really strong as long as you time your Holy Prisms appropriately and get enough Dawn Lights going to actually have the connections be strong. When you get an Awakening proc, you're going to have to make sure that you've got all those Dawn Lights out, because you get even more Dawn Lights than you ever did before now, and the connections last longer than they ever did before. So it's really critical that you don't mess up that combo. If you're just kind of YOLOing when you're throwing out your Dawn Lights, you're going to run into trouble here. But if you're doing it correctly, it is so strong, it is so powerful, and you feel like you're invincible when you've got the entire team connected with Dawn Lights and your beams are going to them. Like, nothing will kill you, which is a really, really great feeling. So it's feeling really good. It's not quite as comfortable as the S tier guys, but it's still very, very strong going into Season 3. Okay? That's Paladin over. Let's move on to Priest. We're going to go to Holy Priest. Back to Priest, we're going Holy and we're going Archon, and unfortunately, Archon is going to go in the B tier. So, in my opinion, this is one of the weaker tier set bonuses. Basically, all it does is it gives you 2 additional halos. It does give you cooldown reduction on your holy words, which is nice. That's the tier set bonus. That is actually really nice. We already kind of get tons of cooldown reduction on our holy words. That's literally what Holy Priest does. But so getting more of that is a little bit redundant, but I will say it's nice to get cooldown reduction. But then the only other part that you get is 2 additional halos, which is nice. It gives you 2 additional free flash heals. So you can run a build where you're getting you're doing flash heal into heal with Lightweaver. You can do that build and it works out pretty well, as you can see in some of the footage that I'm doing here. It actually works out pretty well, but it just felt a lot worse to me than all these other healing specs that I'm putting above it, and including Oracle Holy Priest, which felt way better. So if you're about to get depressed about Holy Priest having another really bad tier, do not worry. I promise you, Oracle Holy Priest is way better. I think Archon just needs some buffs, and honestly, the tier set bonus for Archon needs a little bit more love. It's very boring, it's very stale, and the performance-wise, it just didn't do that well. Now, the other hero tree, however, Oracle Holy Priest, did do really well. It did so well, in my opinion, that it goes into the S tier category. And this is not a meme. I am not kidding. This thing is disgusting in Mythic Plus, okay? The tier set bonus for Oracle Holy Priest gives your power word, your Prayer of Mending, an upfront heal that is massive. It is almost as good as a Serenity. It's like 3/4 of a Serenity. That's how good that is. You palm somebody and they get healed for like 2 million health at whatever eye level I was at. It's just a 2 mil straight heal. And then you can palm somebody else and they get it again. And guess what? With Oracle Holy Priest, you get that premonition of insight no matter what premonition you're pressing, right? You're getting the cooldown reduction, and you can just go premonition of whatever, and then you just go palm, 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 and it's a 2 mil heal, 2 mil heal, 2 mil healing over here. And they get the palm, and the palm applies a power word shield. It just does it does so much stuff for you. And you can take the talents on the right side of the tree that all interact with Prayer of Mending, and you have a chance to actually reset the cooldown of Prayer of Mending and get multiple palms going whenever you're using your holy words, which is incredibly strong now. And then on top of that, whenever your palms are bouncing around, you're going to be proccing Apotheosis. So it just really kind of comes together. All these things finally come together in this tier set bonus. Even just the 2 piece of the tier set bonus is strong enough to warrant playing this and putting it in the S tier category, in my opinion. It felt so comfortable playing Holy Priest as Oracle. I was palming everybody. They were jumping around. I was proccing Apotheosis. They were getting power word shields. They were getting 2 mil heals. I didn't even have to press any of my other spells. It was just premonition, palm, 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 premonition, palm, palm, palm. It was absolutely ridiculous. I loved it. And Priest, of course, Holy Priest has PI. They have Mass Dispel. They've got Mind Soothe, and they can they have some really good tech as well with like Guardian Angel, which is really nice, something that Disc Priest doesn't have. Disc Priest tends to have better utility, but the point is this deserves to go up here. It's very strong, and if you're wondering about playing Holy Priest in Season 3, I would be very, very excited about this going into Season 3. Oracle is cranking, okay? Let's move on. Mistweaver Monk. We're going to do Conduit of the Celestials first, and I believe this deserves to go into the A+ category. Conduit of the Celestials was performing incredibly well for me. The tier set bonus basically gives you massive cooldown reduction. This is what Heart of the Jade Serpent does with the hero tree. So you basically, whenever you're pressing Shaylin's Gift, you're going to get a bunch of cooldown reduction on some of your spells. Renewing Mist, Bubble, and then Rising Sun Kick, and now you're going to get Thunder Focus Tea. Excuse me. But now, whenever you press Thunder Focus Tea, you also get the cooldown reduction on all those abilities again. So you can proc it 3 different ways. Thunder Focus Tea gives you the cooldown reduction, Shaylin's Gift gives you the cooldown reduction, and then the Conduit of the Celestials ability itself also procs Yulon, which procs the Heart of the Jade Serpent buff. So you can basically finesse this in whatever way you want to. It's kind of like Oracle Disc Priest or Oracle Holy Priest. It has this incredible... You have this incredible ability to cool down whichever spells you need to in the moment. Let's say you want to spread a whole bunch of Renewing Mists. You press Thunder Focus Tea, you go Renewing Mist, and then tick, 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 tick. It comes back, another Renewing Mist. And then you press Shaylin's Gift, and then tick, 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 tick. It comes back around, Renewing Mist. Like, that's more of like a raid thing. But you could ramp with Yulon in like a raid environment very easily. For Mythic Plus, you can press Thunder Focus Tea into Rising Sun Kick. And then like Tiger Palm, and then your Rising Sun Kick, tick, 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 it comes back. You press Rising Sun Kick again, then your Tiger Palm, then you Blackout Kick, and you give Rising Sun Kick again. And it's just, you can basically do whatever you want with this. I had Life Cocoon. The cooldown of Life Cocoon at one point was like 25 seconds if I comboed all 3 of them. So I pressed Life Cocoon on somebody, and then I did like Shaylin's Gift, into Thunder Focus Tea, into Conduit of the Celestials, and it just went tick, 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 and it went all the way back. Within 25 seconds, I had another bubble for somebody. So very, very cool. A very good skill ceiling. Again, kind of similar to Keeper of the Grove. It's packing a really good punch. It's not quite as good as these S tier ones, but it's very strong still. You can easily do any of the content that you're going to want to do with Conduit of the Celestials, Mistweaver Monk. I really enjoyed it, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it if you've been wanting to play Mistweaver, okay? The other Mistweaver spec, Master of Harmony, is going to go into the A category. This is for a couple reasons. Number one, I think this tier set bonus is kind of uninspired. That's not really what we're talking about in this video. We're talking about performance. Does it perform very well, Zuko? Yes, it performs fine, but it's not as good as the Conduit build, for sure. It's definitely not as good. It doesn't have the same kind of oomph. It doesn't pack the same punch. Basically, with the Master of Harmony build, your Tiger Palms occasionally are going to like hit really hard and do a big burst of healing. That's the entire tier set bonus. That's it. Now, your Thunder Focus Tea, of course, has a chance to, or is a guaranteed chance to proc these extra Tiger Palms. So you can game it a little bit where when you need the AoE healing, the burst of healing, you can use it with those big Tiger Palms. It's fine. It's cool. It definitely plays into exactly how Master of Harmony wants to play. Power-wise, it's not quite as good. It's just not up there with these other hero trees. It needs a little bit more oomph, and in my opinion, it needs a little bit more inspiration. I think it's a little bit lacking on the creativity side of things. You're kind of just punching stuff, and it's exploding for healing, and that's it. So this could use a little bit more love, in my opinion, but A is still good. I think you could still do a plus 12. You could still do a plus 13 with it. You just might not be able to push into like the absolute highest echelon of keys with this build, but it's still good. Okay. Evoker. Preservation Evoker. Let's look at Chrono Warden first. This is going to go into the A+ category. This thing was amazing. It actually recently got buffed as well. So you're getting a 1 minute tip the scales. That's the main thing that you're getting out of the hero tree, or the tier set bonus, sorry. Tip the scales is unbelievably strong. Of course, it gets more interaction with the hero tree itself in terms of giving you that basically a full-blown bloodlust. So every minute you get a bloodlust. That's what you get, for real. Because Tip the Scales is 1 minute cooldown now. And then you can just blast a Spirit Bloom is the best application, of course, because Spirit Bloom does an extra heal over time with the hero tree. I just felt like even with the regular spells and like a plus 12, plus 13 key, like I almost didn't even need to use Tip the Scales as often as I was getting it back. I had it sitting on cooldown for like a long time, and I that means I was playing it wrong. But like what I'm saying is Evoker is actually really strong just on its own merits. And then if you add on this 1 minute tip the scales, I think as you push into the higher Mythic Plus keys, you're going to be leaning on that a little bit harder, but that's okay because it's going to be there every minute and it's going to be so freaking strong. You just feel like a god when you press that button. You get this crazy burst of haste, you get cooldown reduction, you get movement speed, you get to hit this massive Spirit Bloom. It feels super good. So it's simple. The tier set bonus is very simple for Chrono Warden, but it is very strong, and I think it deserves to go in the A+ category. Okay? In stark contrast to Chrono Warden, we have Flame Shaper, which in my opinion should go in the C category. It's the only hero tree actually that's going to go down here. The only tier set bonus or, you know, healer with that hero tree that's going to go down there. It actually recently got nerfed because they were bringing a bunch of Flame Shaper devs into the raid. Raid testing happened this week, and I think that Blizzard saw there was like 25,000 Flame Shaper devs in there just hitting these massive engulfs and doing way too much healing. Flame Shaper Evoker has been buffed in Season 3, and Golf is doing twice as much as it used to. So there's definitely some love going into this hero tree. But in my opinion, with the nerfs that just came in this week, and in the Mythic Plus environment in particular, it just doesn't feel really great. You're entirely reliant on having Dream Breath on your allies. You can't even engulf your allies anymore in Season 3 unless you have Dream Breath on them. So you have to be cooling that down to the best of your ability and working kind of around that cooldown. I know it's only like a 20-25 second cooldown, but you still have to work around it, which is a little bit annoying. Excuse me. The extra like lobs of essence burst healing or essence like bombs that you get from the 4 set are also a little bit lackluster in my opinion. The way that you proc them is by consuming your essence burst procs. So you have to like bank up some essence burst procs and be ready to go, and then press engulf on a Dream Breath that has to be out there, and then start lobbing these bombs. And they did increase the radius to 20 yards, which is nice, but I just think it's like way too gimmicky. It's way too much setup in Mythic Plus to be viable. In a raid, I still think this is a killer hero tree, and the tier set bonus that's coming in actually buffs the raid a lot for this, but in Mythic Plus, it's really falling short, in my opinion. And in my experience, I felt really scared and nervous the entire time that I was playing this thing in the plus 12 keys and stuff. I thought people were going to die. It felt nothing like these other healers up here, okay? The final two, Resto Shaman. We're going to start with Farseer Resto Shaman. We're going to put it in the A category. It actually goes above the Harmony Monk. So Farseer Resto Shaman packs a really big punch. The tier set bonus is very simple. It just gives you an extra ancestor, and then you pump a bunch of extra healing, which is nice. It does give you this mini Bloodlust window. When you press Ancestral Swiftness, you get 25% reduced cast time, basically increased cast speed, which is kind of like Lust, but it's like a different stat. Anyway, so you do feel really strong in that moment, and the Riptide synergy is very, very good, which is why I'm putting it up here in the A category. I don't think it deserves to go in the A+ category, but I think it should go in the A category. Getting massive cooldown reduction on Riptide lets you press more Riptides, which gets the Deluge buff on people, and it also has a chance to proc Ascendance. I was noticing that I was proccing Ascendance a ridiculous amount with this Farseer Resto Shaman tier set bonus coming in, so I really like that. I like having way more procs of Ascendance than, say, the Totemic tree. It just felt nice, but it just didn't quite pack as much of a punch as these other trees did here. It's not bad. Please don't sleep on this. It's not bad by any means. You can do plus 12 keys, plus 13 keys, as I've been saying, but it just doesn't have quite as easy of a time as these other healers do at the higher level, okay? Finally, let's look at Totemic Resto Shaman. I'm going to put this at the bottom of the A category. Again, it's still actually quite good. It's quite strong, but I think that it requires... in particular, in Mythic Plus, it really requires you to be centered around your Surging Totem. You get an extra downpour from the tier set bonus, which is fantastic. And then whenever you proc a downpour, you get a massively boosted spell afterwards. So it's very simple, but it is strong. So you like put your totem down, get the downpour immediately. You get an extra downpour immediately, and then you can press like Chain Heal, and it's 150% stronger, and it's like healing everybody. And then you work your way through your moats on the Surging Totem, and then you get another downpour, which again, then you get another spell afterwards that's really buffed. Again, my issue here is that this really requires you to have, I would say, a melee composition. If you have a range composition with like a Boomkin and a Shadow Priest and an Ellie Shaman way in the back somewhere in Narnia, or if you have like, it's you and a Boomkin in the back, and then maybe like 3 melees, like you're gonna not be getting full value out of all these downpours that you're getting. And in my opinion, that really, it's really going to be a struggle to get maximum value in the Mythic Plus environment. If you get yourself onto like a Mythic Plus team and they're all melee, this is one of the strongest healers in the game for melee content. 100% in Mythic Plus. If you had a melee comp, I would put it up here, okay? But if you don't, if you're pugging and it's random all the time, you're going to lose some value because of really all the bonuses that you're getting from the tier set bonus are centered around the Surging Totem, getting the downpours, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm going to put Totemic Resto Shaman right there. Okay, guys? That's my list. This is the performance list. This is the S to C tier here in terms of Mythic Plus performance. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from all of you guys down there. I think this is a pretty fair representation of where each of these specs is at, and including their hero trees, the tier set bonuses that are interacting with their hero trees. Now, again, please take this with a grain of salt. This is very likely to change over the next 5 or 6 weeks, and I will continue to update this list as major changes come through. I will update this list for you to make sure that we're giving an honest representation of where these healers are at in the Mythic Plus environment, okay? That's it for me. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I love you all. Let me know what you think in those comments down below, and I will see you in the next one.